Hi, I'm Amber,
And I'm Kirsten,
and you're listening to
lurking in the shadows. Welcome to True Crime in a Dime,
where we tell you a chilling story
in 10 minutes time.
ish.
We try.
Yeah, sometimes it's longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
This is our little short story segment.
Yeah, because, and I don't think we've said this in a while, but we believe that all these little stories should still be told. So sometimes there's not enough information, and we just put 4 little 10-minute-ish stories together to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to keep our full length episodes to at least 30 minutes. That's our goal. And so cases we come across that really there's no way they could make a 30-minute episode out of them, we save them for True Crime or Dime.
Yeah, so we hope you guys enjoy these, and we are always open to suggestions, especially if it is a small case. Like, I feel like a lot of the small cases are the ones that don't get a lot of national attention or anything, so.
Yeah. And even when I'm adding like names to our list, I feel like a majority of them are more True Crime and a Dime worthy.
Yeah, where it's frustrating on our end too that we can't get all the information. A lot of times it's the background. It's hard to find the background of people because, of course, like, technology is different nowadays,
Yeah.
and depending on the dates of the case, it's sometimes difficult, but then we can give you the meat and the potatoes, which is usually what our 10 minutes is.
My first case actually was going to be, I was hoping to make it a full-length episode, but when I was doing the research, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So now it's True Crime and Dime.
Did you tell me about this one?
I think I may have mentioned I was going to do her, but I don't know if I told you what happens.
Okay. Well, I mean, usually your cases are new to me anyway, so.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start off with Kanika Powell. Kanika Powell was a 28-year-old Army veteran who was murdered in her apartment building in August of 2008 after experiencing a series of unsettling encounters at her apartment door with men knocking claiming to either be FBI agents or delivery drivers.
Oh my God, that is horrifying.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this could, well, I mean, there is some, her job background may play a role, but yeah, that could really happen to anybody, So Kanika Powell was born on January 31st, 1980 to mother Judy Powell Forrest in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is a wealthy area. I read her mom named her Kanika because it was an African descent name that meant a black cloth, which was sacred and special.
I really like that name. I was going to say it earlier, but.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's cool.
Yeah.
And you don't hear it too often either.
No.
I didn't find any information on her father, but she had a stepfather at the time of her death named David Forrest. Kanika has 3 siblings, Jamal, Eric, and Trina. Kanika was described as ambitious and opinionated, but had a pleasant personality, which made it easy for her to make friends. Kanika got along with everybody. Her mother, Judy, says Kanika was a fun, feisty child who grew up to be an ambitious young woman. Kanika graduated from Largo High School in Upper Marlboro, Maryland in 1998. After high school, Kanika decided to join the United States Army, which was a complete shock to her friends and family. She joined the Army in the year 2000 and served in Korea for a few years. Kanika kept close contact with her family throughout her time in the military. Kanika left the military in 2004 and returned to Prince George's County, Maryland, where she lived alone in an apartment complex. Not long after moving back, Kanika landed her dream job at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, working as a top-secret clearance security contractor. The exact nature of the work she did is unknown because this lab works on homeland security projects.
She probably knew some shit.
Yeah. The first strange encounter happened on Saturday, August 23rd, 2008, around 7 p.m. Kanika heard a knock on her door and responded, "Who is it?" There was no response, so she looked through her peephole and saw a man she didn't recognize and again asked him who he was. The man said he was from the FBI and looking for Kanika Powell. She was taken aback that he asked for her by name and asked him to show her documentation and a warrant since he was not giving his name nor photo identification.
Good on
The
her.
agent, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because in a situation like that where you're nervous, oh God, am I in trouble? I need to comply.
Yes. That's
know what
how
I
I would
mean?
have felt. And they're asking
You
my
might just
full
open
name.
the door.
Yeah, full name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This agent appeared to hold up what appeared to be a law enforcement badge to her peephole, but did not provide any official FBI ID, so she refused to open the door.
Good.
After this, she heard another man speak, and the two men walked away. Scary.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, would I call the cops or not? I feel like probably not. Because what would they do then? What am I going to do? Bring the cops out?
She does.
She does?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure
So-
because to me, I'm like, what are they going to do? Come to the door and I'd be like, yeah, some stranger knocked on my door. And then what are the police going to say? Well, what do you want me to do about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kanika assumed it was a scam and called her local FBI office, who confirmed they did not send anyone to her apartment. They said the FBI does not send agents out alone, and they typically leave a card for the subject to get in contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
She also contacted her local police department to make a report and notified her leasing office of the incident. So she's telling everybody what happened here.
Good.
Kanika described the man that knocked on her door as a black male dressed in a black hat, black glasses, and a black North Face jacket. Which it was August, so why is he wearing a black North Face jacket?
Yeah.
Police arrived at Kanika's apartment 4 minutes after she called. Despite canvassing the area, they did not find anyone who matched the description that Kanika had provided. She also called her mom that evening to tell her what happened, and her mom is quoted saying, "It was a Saturday evening, I'll never forget. She called and said, 'Ma, these two men just knocked on my door saying they were from the FBI.' She said they called her by name. She said, 'I've already called the FBI to find out if they sent anybody.' And so she said they put a fake badge. I guess she could tell that it was fake up to the peephole," end quote. This incident scared her enough that she sent a long email to multiple people on Monday, August 25th that read, "I just want to share with you the most scariest thing that happened to me this weekend. Saturday evening around 7 p.m., a man was knocking at my door. As all of you know, I live alone. I asked who it was, and he didn't answer. So once I got close to the door and looked out the peephole, I saw a male figure that was not familiar to me at all. I asked who he was, and all he stated was he was from the FBI and that he was looking for Kanika Powell. It freaked me out completely because this man knew my name. He held a shield up but no picture ID, and he never gave his name. He told me he was looking for me in regards to an investigation. I told him I had no idea as to what he was talking about and that he would need to show me documentation as well as a warrant of some sort. So he left, and I looked out my bedroom window and saw him walking. I also heard a voice tell him to walk in the opposite direction. The whole situation was scary and seemed so false. So because of this incident, not only did I get no sleep for the rest of the weekend, I am trying to get an alarm system installed in my apartment. I had one in my old apartment, but just hadn't transferred it over to my new one. As far as everything that happened with the guy, I did call the FBI. They told me that it was more than likely bogus because they never come to your door by themselves, and they always leave a card of some sort so you can contact with them. I called the local police as well to give them a description just in case someone is out there trying to rape or harm single women. Pass this on, ladies. This is not a fake forward. This happened to me, Kanika. Who knows who these guys are and what they are doing in what areas other than mine," end quote.
Good. She's telling
So she's, trying to warn other women that she knows, hey, if this happens to you, it's not real.
Yeah.
A few days later, on Wednesday, August 27th, there was another strange knock at the door. Kanika asked who it was. The man asked her if she was Kanika Powell. She looked through the peephole and saw it was a different man this time, whom she also did not recognize, so she refused to open the door. The man was dressed in a FedEx uniform with the company top and the khaki shorts and said he had a package for her and would be right back with it, but he never returned. This second weird incident made Kanika feel like she was being targeted now because now 2 unknown men showed up at her door and know her by name.
Yeah. And
her mom, Judy, and best friend... Oh, sorry, what were you going to
say? I was just going to say, at this point, a second time, I'm moving.
I know.
Like,
or at least getting deadbolt locks, something. I don't know.
Something, man.
Like 5 of them installed on my door.
Right? Like, I like that she's trying to get security, alarm system and stuff, but I don't know if I could take enough precautions to help me sleep at night, to be honest.
I know. I don't know that I would be sleeping.
No.
Her mom, Judy, and best friend, Ayana, offered to let Kanika stay with them, but she declined. The next day, Thursday, August 28th, Kanika had taken off work to run some errands because she would be leaving for Atlanta that upcoming weekend for a Pride event. Kanika was bisexual, and her girlfriend were planning to drive 11 hours to Atlanta to celebrate at the festival. And I read that I don't think her and this woman knew each other for long or were dating for very long.
Okay.
Before she even started her day, Kanika heard another knock at her door around 7:30 a.m. It was another man saying he had a package for her, and then he left. Kanika called her mom and asked, who delivers packages at 7:30 in the morning? Judy said, looking back, she could hear the fear in Kanika's voice, and that would sadly be the last time she would speak to her daughter. Kanika called the police again, and they canvassed the area but didn't find anything. Kanika left to get her car serviced and run errands, and then returned home around 11:50 a.m. She entered the building and began walking up the steps when she encountered someone in the hallway who shot her several times to her upper body and head. Neighbors reportedly heard her yell, "No, no, no," and they called 911. EMS discovered Kanika lying in the hallway with multiple gunshot wounds. She was still alive but unconscious and rushed to a nearby hospital. Her wallet and valuables were still on her, making it seem like robbery was not a motive. Kanika sadly never regained brain activity and died the next day. Detectives struggled to find a motive and believed the gunman had been waiting in the doorway for her to arrive home. Little evidence was found at the scene and no weapon was recovered. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll insert a picture of her apartment. So you go up a few set of stairs, and there's a door. A few more stairs, there's the next door. So there's kind of staggered the entrances to each apartment.
Okay.
And this person was waiting at her door for her. And then when she was in the hallway, they shot her.
Yeah, that is so scary.
Mm-hmm. Her job at Johns Hopkins Laboratories was top secret, and even after her murder, the laboratory would only confirm that she worked for Johns Hopkins, but would not reveal her title or which lab she worked for. Prince George's County, Maryland, is one of the wealthiest majority black counties in the country, and it's not a high crime area, which made Kanika's murder even more out of the ordinary. So who would want to kill Kanika? Her murder is still sadly unsolved. A lot of people speculate her death may have been job-related since she held a top-secret clearance, but this has not yet been proven. In my research, I actually came across another similar death, which was the murder of 31-year-old Sean Nicholas Green on November 13th, 2008, almost 3 months after Kanika's death. He was also black, lived in Prince George's County, and held a security clearance and worked in national security. He was shot 9 times at close range at a red stoplight at the Capitol Beltway near Oxon Hill during rush hour. The masked gunman has also not been caught to this day, nor a motive.
Wow.
So that's pretty suspicious to me that these 2 young people working in national security are gunned down. Yeah,
I'm wondering if, and we'll never know, but I wonder if they were working together with their job on something that these people didn't like, or it affected them, or they knew something.
Yeah, I didn't read anything in my research that the 2 knew each other.
Okay.
And I didn't read where exactly he worked. It just said he worked in national security, but he also could work at Johns Hopkins. I mean, they're both in the same county, so
yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. And for him, he shot during rush hour.
Yes,
Lots of
broad daylight.
witnesses.
Uh,
Yes.
9 times, okay? And then you have to flee and get out of there, and he got away. That's crazy.
Yeah, someone walked up to him while he's sitting at a red light and just shot him.
That's crazy.
Kanika being bisexual could also possibly be a motivator. The woman she was dating was a new relationship, and this woman had a male ex. Judy shared that Kanika's friends did not have a good feeling about this guy, and they didn't get friendly looks from him and just not good vibes. So it's speculated that maybe he was jealous, but that doesn't really explain how Kanika saw different men at her door each time. Unless he was like sending men there to scare her or something. And it also wasn't really clear to me why Kanika's friends knew who this guy was. Like, were they all hanging out together or something? Like, why did they know who her girlfriend's ex-boyfriend is? And why were they getting, like, unfriendly looks from him? That just seemed kind of strange to me.
That is.
It seems like the killer or killers knew Kanika somehow because they always seemed to know when she was home and, like, they were there waiting for her to return home from running her errands. So someone like knew her schedule, was watching her.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone put a hit out on her, but why? What did she know? Like, I didn't really find any information about like the investigation into her death or who was questioned, and it's not really clear if her case is even still active. So if you know anything about the death of Kanika Powell, please contact the Prince George's County Police Department at 301-352-1200.
I think this has too much dirty laundry they don't want aired out with her job.
Yeah.
And so I unfortunately think they're not
sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything because whatever they do to try and solve this, it sounds like it's going to reveal things that they are not going to want to reveal. So,
just like the death of Jonathan Luna. Yeah. He was a district attorney from Baltimore. The FBI is now looking into his case. It seems like they're covering it up.
Mm-hmm. And that was the one that had some ties to Epstein at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course they don't want that to come out.
Yeah. Shady.
Yeah. Well, that's sad. That one.
It is.
Because she sounds like a successful woman who was just living her life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they cared.
Yeah, and like they knew she was scared and getting these weird visits, but police came twice, didn't find anything, so it's like, what do you do?
Yeah. All right. Gotta find my mouse. Where are you at? All right. My next case, we are actually going overseas for this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't remember if there's too much pronunciation in here, but do excuse me. Nicole Tegmeyer was born on July 4th, 1980 in Erkelenz, Germany. That's probably totally wrong. I apologize. Her early childhood was marked by instability. Her mother, Angelika Tegmeyer, struggled with custody issues, and Nicole eventually moved to the Netherlands to live with her stepfather. And his name was Ad Van Den Hurk. And her half-brother named Andy. This is when she took on the surname Van Den Hurk. This was after their divorce in 1989. By 1995, 15-year-old Nicole had built a quiet, hardworking life in Andover. She was described as a bright, responsible teenager who was well liked by her peers, and she was committed to her family. At the time of her disappearance, she lived with her grandmother and worked a part-time job at the uh, Woncell shopping center to earn her own money. In April of that year, while she was working hard, just trying to get through life, her mother had passed away, unfortunately.
Oh.
This was just weeks before her disappearance.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
Yeah. This left Nicole in a state of mourning, but she was determined to keep up with her daily routines. It was during one of these routine mornings that her story would turn into one of the most famous cold cases in Dutch history. On the morning of Friday, October 6, 1995, at approximately 5:10 a.m., Nicole left her grandmother's house on her gray bicycle. She was headed for her early shift at the shopping center. This is the same route she took and had traveled every time she went to work. And she would never arrive that morning to work. After Nicole failed to show up for work or return home after her shift, the police began searching. At 6 p.m. that night, her bicycle was found submerged in the Dommel River, roughly halfway between her home and her work.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
No other evidence was found until October 19th, when her rucksack was discovered near the Endover Canal. The contents of her bag seemed to have been thrown in varying directions, suggesting a struggle had happened. Police searched the canal extensively with no luck. Tragically, then, on November 22nd, a passerby discovered Nicole's body in a wooded area between the town of Metello and Lerope. She had been missing for 7 weeks at that time. Once the autopsy, 7 weeks, like.
So she was probably pretty decomposed.
Yeah. They do get DNA, and I'll go over that, and but 7 weeks for that family. I couldn't get a lot of information. That's why these are the small cases on the family, and also international, like the grandmother and stuff. I didn't get, even though she was living with the grandmother, couldn't find any information about the grandmother and anything that happened with the grandmother after this.
Okay.
But the other family members do come up. Once the autopsy was performed, it revealed the terrible things that this young girl had gone through.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is a little rough. So Nicole had her jaw broken in 2 places, injuries to her ribs, head, and fingers, and 2 fatal stab wounds to the rib area that caused massive internal bleeding.
Because she was beat as well.
Yeah, like that, whatever she went through was not, sadly, that it does not sound like it was fast, unfortunately. This poor girl. Most significantly for the future of this case, medical examiners confirmed that she had also been sexually assaulted, and they were able to preserve semen samples that contained foreign DNA.
Okay, well, I'm glad we got a sample.
But in 1995, technology was not yet advanced enough to produce a match. So Nicole's funeral was held on November 28th, and over 1,000 people had attended. The biggest problem from the beginning of this investigation was the lack of physical evidence. The police also received thousands of tips coming in before her body was even discovered. So police received tons of tips that they could quickly ex-nay out, but there were a few that they began investigating.
Yeah.
They received an unusual tip on October 24th, 1995. She went missing on the 6th. So this came in on the 24th, and then she wasn't found till November. The strange anonymous call from a man came in claiming he knew the killer. Police struggled to identify the caller, and by January of 1996, they had broadcasted the recording of the call in hopes that someone could identify him. The caller still to this day has never been identified.
That's like Amber. Oh God, why am I blanking on her last name?
Saw you. I got
Who
nothing.
who was hitchhiking and got picked up, and we have a part of her phone call that she made with the killer talking in his
Was that the
Canadian
Canada one?
accent.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was the Canada one. Yes, okay,
and
I
no one
remember. Yes.
identified him either.
No, and that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember names and faces, but I can remember a voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
After this is when the case slowed down and only 4 detectives were assigned to continue. In a shocking turn of events that will leave the Van Den Hurk family even more torn, the police had arrested both Ad Van Den Hurk, the stepfather, and Andy Van Den Hurk, the stepbrother, in early 1996. They were detained for several days under intense interrogation. There was no real evidence to charge them, so they were released. But the community would also have some suspicion of the family after this, unfortunately.
Did they test their DNA against the semen sample they have?
Well, we're in 1996 still, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
We haven't
So
gotten
I
that
don't think
far.
that technology, they weren't doing that then yet. One lead investigators follow-up one was from Celine Hartogs in February. She was already in prison for drug trafficking. She was local to the Van Den Hurks. She claims she smuggled heroin for 2 guys who were involved in Nicole's murder. She claimed that when she was detained in Miami, she claimed all this when she was detained in Miami for the drug trafficking. There was a reward offered for any information leading to an arrest, but the case will go cold. It was briefly reopened in 2004 with a small task force, but again, nothing came out of it. And the heroin trafficking, there was no names that I found and nothing that she gave. So I really honestly think it was just somebody, some crazy somebody in
Yeah.
a bad
And
drug
I don't know that
trafficking.
I'm going to believe a drug trafficker anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was just a story, nothing
Yeah.
came out of that. By 2011, the family had moved to England. And on March 8th of that year, stepbrother Andy confessed to murdering his sister on a Facebook post.
What?
16 years after the murder, he posted, quote, "I will be arrested today for the murder of my sister. I confessed, we'll get in contact soon," end quote.
What the
He
heck?
was, yep, got a little twisty turnies up in here. He was arrested by British police and extradited to the Netherlands. However, investigators quickly realized this confession was riddled with inconsistencies. Within 5 days, he was released. Andy then dropped the bombshell that he had lied. So why is Andy
Why are
lying?
you lying about that?
Why is Andy lying, right? Andy claimed he falsely confessed because he knew the only way to force the Dutch authorities to exhume Nicole's body for modern DNA testing was to provide a confession, quote unquote, that needed to be verified. His gamble worked. The publicity surrounding the arrest forced the case back into the spotlight, and in September 2011, Nicole's remains were exhumed. He is quoted saying, quote, "I wanted to get her exhumed and get DNA off her. I kind of set myself up and it could have gone terribly wrong, or horribly wrong. To get her exhumed, I had to put steps in place to get her exhumed. I went to the police, said I did it. She is my sister. Absolutely. I miss her every day," end quote.
Well, if he's telling the truth, that's a true brother right there.
Right? Like
Willing to put
he was
his
like,
life in jeopardy to get his sister's remains exhumed.
because we all know, I think international end here, that a lot of times police are just ready to close a case and just solve it, whether it's the right person or not, because they really could have been like, we believe you, let's get him.
Yeah, and like, he ruined his reputation a little bit by doing that, making himself look like a killer when he might not be.
Yeah. Modern DNA technology allowed scientists to isolate 3 different profiles from the sample taken in 1995. Like we talked about in our DNA episode, there were 3 DNA profiles separated out: Nicole herself, Nicole's boyfriend, who was a consensual partner, and another unknown male profile. In
Who is this son of a
2014,
bitch?
yeah. In 2014, a match was finally found in the national database. The DNA belonged to Yas de G, a 46-year-old man with a history of violent sexual offenses.
Of course.
Yeah. Daji, or we'll just call him Yos, had been convicted of. I know it's hard to pick a name. Yos had been convicted of 3 previous rapes and was a resident of the nearby town to Nicole.
What a sicko.
Mm-hmm. And why is somebody who has been convicted of 3 rapes walking around?
Right. I don't. It's going to escalate eventually.
Yeah, he's going to.
As you can see from this case that it did.
It did. Even if it didn't escalate to murder, we shouldn't be allowing a rapist to go rape.
Yeah, like, why are we allowing... Yeah, I don't get it.
Literally. It was found out on the night that Nicole had disappeared. Yos, God, this is going to be hard, had reportedly stormed out of his house following a fight with his girlfriend. And that was putting him then out in an unknown location that same night, right when Nicole was biking to work.
So he needed to rape and kill an unknown woman because he got in a fight with his girlfriend.
You know, boys can't get their feelings hurt.
Where's he at?
We're going to find out together because I can't remember if this one was he's dead or he's in jail. 46-year-old Yos was arrested on January 14th, 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was...
He got away with it for a long time.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
His trial began in April. His defense focused on the fact that it could have been consensual sex. And also...
In the woods. For the 15-year-old.
Thank you. And he has 3 previous rapes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Get the hell out.
Yeah, fuck off. And they also focused on the fact that they found Nicole's boyfriend's DNA as well, even though the police, they're just grasping for straws, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After deliberation, in July, they decided to drop the murder charges and charge Yos with manslaughter and rape. The hearing was scheduled for October of 2015, but started in November on the 2nd. And that hearing, Yos continued to claim he had never met Nicole, even though we have evidence otherwise.
You have your DNA, sir.
You literally have your DNA on her. Like, are you kidding me?
In her.
Ugh. Oh, that's horrendous. Whew.
It is.
That is terrible. Also, a witness came forward claiming Yos stated he killed a woman. This pushed the trial off 2 more weeks. They also focused on how the DNA sample was compromised and they wanted it to be retested. So scientists decided to retest it. And then by April 19th of 2016, scientists concluded that odds are it was Yos's DNA, no one else's. Like, they made him retest it and everything because he kept claiming
DNA doesn't lie, people.
Yeah, science, man.
I'm surprised they even had enough of a sample left to do another test.
I wonder, and I didn't see that, but I wonder if they got more samples from exhuming her body, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But due to the doubts created by the jury, they had dropped the manslaughter and sentenced him to 14 years for rape. The appeals began right away. In August of 2018, they decided to reduce his sentence from 14 years to 12 years. Okay?
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm. His second appeal in 2020 upheld his sentencing, still the 12 years. Sadly, the man who started the final push for justice did not live to see the case's final conclusion. Andy Van Den Hurk passed away in 2021 at the age of 46, and I don't think that
Oh, wow.
we got justice for Nicole whatsoever. And if he's
No, what the hell?
still serving his 12 years, he will be out soon. Like, he hasn't got much left.
How are they going from 14 down to 12 when a teenager was murdered?
Yeah. And he's done it multiple times. I don't like, I know international is a little bit different, and we don't and I mean, maybe I should have read into, but I don't know. Here, whether it is in the Netherlands or, England or here, rape is a fucking rape and it's a fucking crime.
Mhm.
Murder is a murder.
Where did you say the trial was taking place at? Which country?
He went back to the Netherlands.
Netherlands, okay. Well, Netherlands, your justice system needs some work too.
Yeah, I think I'm coming to find as we do these international, I think they all do. No.
Yeah, there's probably not a single good one that's not corrupt in some way.
In some way, yeah. So
that's horrendous.
Yeah, so a 15-year-old raped and murdered, and he got 12 years. Not even the amount of time she.
And that was in what, 2015 when he got sentenced?
Yeah, I think the official was 2016 or 2015 or 2016. Because the trial was.
So he's getting out next year or the year after.
Yeah.
All right, so we're all gonna plan a trip to the Netherlands.
Yep.
Us and all of our followers, and we're gonna meet him outside of that jail when he walks out.
Because he's gonna do the same thing. It's only been 12 years. You think he magically has rehabilitated himself in there? Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen with a rapist.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter for those people that, I know the 90s was different and it is now, but like, they'll still try.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's horrendous.
It is. Anita.
That poor girl, her poor family.
I know.
And her brother died young.
Yes, and he was putting it all out there to try and solve this for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's sad all around.
Yeah, and that's 12 years for that her life is not justice.
No, it's not. All right, so remember that, everyone. We're going to keep an eye out for that date when he's getting released, and we're going to plan ourselves a little field trip.
Hell yeah. Get your passports.
Yep, get your pitchforks, too.
We need another t-shirt idea. Passports and pitchforks.
Hell yeah. Okay. Next up, I have the subway murders. Nicholas Kunselman and Stephanie Hart-Grizzell, both students at Columbine High School, were found shot to death inside a Subway sandwich shop in Littleton, Colorado, in the early morning hours of February 14th, 2000. The double homicide remains unsolved.
You just gave me chills.
Yep. So this one's heavy in the sense that these two teenagers survived a horrific shooting to not even a year later be killed in a shooting.
Yeah. That's
fucked.
Yeah, that's fucked. Yeah.
Nicholas Kunselman was born on March 15th, 1984 in Loveland, Colorado. He was an avid musician who loved playing the guitar. He was also a champion junior disc golf player and held the Colorado State junior title in the late 1990s. He was described as a good, supportive, and caring person who doted on his family and friends, especially his girlfriend, Stephanie Hart-Grizzell. Stephanie was born on October 28, 1983 in Denver, Colorado. She was described by her mother as a flower child. Stephanie was a poet, lover of music, and an aspiring artist who enjoyed painting and making jewelry. Her mom said she had many friends who, quote, they just wanted to be with her because her heart and soul were so pure, end quote.
Oh.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
Stephanie believed that technological advancement was making the world a cold, hard place where people stare at screens rather than relate to those around them.
fucking accurate, girlfriend, and that was in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be so disappointed in the world today.
She would be. Her mom said, quote, "She hated television but loved music," end quote. And yeah, like we said, I can't imagine what she would think of the world today that is literally controlled by technology, and there's AI data centers popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Ruining our water supply.
Literally ruining everything. Let's be real here.
Mm-hmm. Nicholas and Stephanie met in middle school and were close friends before they began dating. They were described as high school sweethearts and seemed inseparable. They both attended Columbine High School and were survivors of the 1999 school massacre, which we just covered that story in great detail if you missed that episode. Friends and family noticed that the couple seemed to lean on each other even more after the shooting. So it's so sad. Like, such a horrible event brought them like closer together.
Yeah.
And then their lives are sadly still taken in another horrific way.
Yeah, this is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're poor families. By early 2000, Nicholas got a job at the Subway sandwich shop just a few blocks south from Columbine High School at 6768 West Coal Mine Avenue in Littleton, Colorado. On February 13th, 2000, Nick was working the closing shift. Stephanie drove over that night to hang out with him and waited for him to finish his shift. So I think I read she snuck out. Her mom didn't know she was going over there.
Oh.
She just wanted to wait for him to finish his shift and hang out a little. Another Subway employee happened to drive past the shop around 12:45 a.m. on the 14th and noticed the lights were still on. And this was abnormal because the shop should have been dark and closed up by that time. The employee pulled in and went inside to look around when they found Nick and Stephanie lying behind the counter. They had both been fatally shot. And this employee, they did call police, and they also noticed someone walking away nearby. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office described the deaths as the result of an unknown intruder or intruders who shot them inside the Subway restaurant. The location and time of day made it seem like a targeted attack. The case was handled by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, which had also been deeply involved in the Columbine investigation 10 months earlier. Police never publicly revealed the caliber of weapon, the number of shots, or the exact positions of the victims when they were shot. The case became a high-profile double homicide rather quickly due to the victim's connection to the Columbine shooting. Police released a suspect description early on from what the employee had described of who they saw walking away, describing the suspect as a white male believed to be 16 to 20 years old, roughly 5'7" to 5'8", and about 150 to 170 pounds. The person was described as clean-shaven with blondish hair, wearing blue jeans, tennis shoes, a black ball cap, and a black coat with red lining or a red shirt. And I'll put the image of the sketch on the screen if you're watching, or you can check out our Instagram when you're done listening. That wasn't the only description, though. Investigators also produced several other suspect sketches over time from different witness descriptions. So I'm not sure how accurate those are, as the descriptions have been inconsistent. The suspect description did generate many tips, though, with investigators receiving information from across the country. The case also produced several confessions after it drew national attention, but those confessions were later dismissed as false. Because people suck.
Yeah, people do suck.
Why are you confessing to something you didn't do and driving the investigation in a way it doesn't need to go?
I don't
wasting
understand
resources and time.
What they get out of that. I don't understand.
I don't either. Unfortunately, many years went by with no arrest. Police have publicly reported they do have some evidence, but not enough to identify a suspect. In 2017, investigators described the case file as massive, including dozens of binders and hundreds of interviews accumulated over time. One investigator described the case file as 40 binders with more than 150 items of evidence and hundreds of interviews. Evidence was sent to multiple labs, including fingerprints and repeated submissions for testing as technology improved, but the DNA they have is described as scant, and they still have not gotten any hits. One avenue the police went down was the possible involvement of drugs. Investigators said suspicions arose that a drug ring may have been operating out of the Subway store or nearby, which pushed detectives to look into related cases and interviews. They interviewed people connected to more than 50 drug cases, just in case any of that activity aligned with the killings, but there was not enough evidence to publicly link a drug operation to the murders. And so it's also like speculated was like another employee like involved in the drugs, and maybe they thought they were going to be there that night, and it was like more of a mistaken identity thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's sadly kind of where this case ends. Investigators have not publicly stated whether the store door was forced open, whether the suspect used like some sort of a ruse to enter, or whether the encounter began before the store officially closed or after. Investigators also have not publicly said whether the offender demanded anything, whether they spoke to the victims or moved them, but it was determined that nothing was stolen, making robbery seem like a very unlikely motive. Despite more than 25 years of investigation, no motive has been established and no arrests have been made. The reward for information leading to an arrest has fluctuated over time, reaching as high as $100,000. Authorities continue to seek information through the Metro Denver Crime Stoppers, and you can give them a call if you know anything at 720-913-7867.
That's sad. It's unsolved.
Yeah. And I think I didn't read anything if there was any cameras in the store. I mean, I know it was 2000, but I didn't read about there being any
probably
video footage
not.
of it. Yeah.
Probably not yet, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking.
Or if there was, it clearly wasn't working and didn't give them anything.
Yeah, because I feel like it would have taken us somewhere, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have like 2 suspect sketches, but like, who did this? Like, why are you targeting 2 teenagers that survived a horrific school shooting?
You didn't. I mean, they didn't steal anything, so.
Yeah. Like, what is the motive here?
I don't know. The only
and
thing
it wasn't the Columbine shooters because they're dead.
No, the only thing I think is a copycat, or was this person like jealous of that relationship? That was this like another classmate, like.
Right, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if there was a drug ring out of the subway, I mean, that could be a very likely scenario, but I don't know. I didn't read anything about Nicholas using drugs.
Yeah.
Or anything, so.
I don't know.
Or even Stephanie. I didn't read anything about either of them using drugs.
Yours are unsolved, Kirsten.
Yeah. And your first one was unsolved. Oh, no, kind of. No, it was solved.
It was a cold case. It was one of the most famous cold cases in Netherlands, but then it got solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, both mine are unsolved.
Yeah. My second one's a little bit more unique of a story, actually.
Oh, okay.
So, I am going to go over Arizona State Prison Break and Ricky Wassenaar. Wassenaar. I think that's the name. I'm so terrible with names. You know what? Like, I need a t-shirt for that, too.
Yeah, we need lots of t-shirts.
Yeah, all the t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Arizona State Prison Lewis is located in Buckeye, Arizona, just 43 miles west of Phoenix. It is one of 13 prison facilities in the Maricopa County area. It was opened in 1977. It is a medium security prison with a capacity of over 5,000 in 7 units. They categorized their prisoners in levels 1 through 5, with 5 being max. On January 18th, 2004, in the Maury unit, which is a level 4 unit, Inmates Ricky Wassenaar and Stephen Coy were the masterminds behind the longest police standoff with prisoners in United States history.
Oh, wow.
The plan originally was a prison break, but it instead turned into a 15-day standoff and hostage situation ending
15
on
days.
February 2nd. Yep, 15 days.
Wow.
It had ended on February 2nd. Ricky worked first in the prison library and went by the name Rooster in prison. He then began working in the kitchen, which is when the plan started to form. Ricky and Stephen decided when the mess hall was empty in the morning, they would try and take over and escape. So Ricky overpowered an officer in the kitchen area, handcuffed him, and then put on the officer's uniform. This is like a movie, by the way.
Yeah.
He shaved his face to appear more officer-like. The other prisoners in the kitchen actually had no interest in joining Ricky after he asked if they would join him when they had witnessed what he did to that officer. He then headed towards the closest guard tower, which put him closer to the administrative office where the door to freedom would be. His plan was working, honestly, like beautifully, because Jason Auk, who was the guard on duty in that tower, thought Ricky was the guard he overtook, so he buzzed him in.
Oh, geez.
Lois Frawley was the other officer in the tower. When Ricky walked in, Jason came to approach him. Ricky, attempting to pull his cap down to not be recognized, and when the officer got close enough to him, Ricky pulled a metal mixing paddle out of his pants that he had taken from the kitchen and hit Jason with it, knocking him to the ground, dazed and confused. Lois then tried to get Ricky, but he quickly subdued her. He handcuffed them both and took a rifle from the tower. He then went to figure out where Stephen was. Apparently, Ricky formed that plan with Stephen without knowing Stephen's history. He was in prison for being a convicted rapist, and while Ricky was looking for Stephen, he was in the kitchen raping a kitchen worker.
What the fuck?
When Ricky found Stephen, he was on the ground, surrounded by officers, so Ricky began shooting at them. One of the officers, stunned, asked, "Who are you shooting at?" And Ricky screamed back, "You!" So the officers retreated, and Ricky dragged Stephen into the watchtower.
You know, I just want to point out that's proof right there that being in prison does not rehabilitate a rapist. Look, the first chance he had to rape someone, there he went.
There he went. Yes, I don't even know how long he was in. Like, I didn't. I should have got maybe a little more of his background, but Ricky was on our list. But yeah, I don't know how long he was in prison or whatever. But yeah, it didn't hesitate, and you'll see it. It happens again, and I want you to know.
Oh my god.
Once a rapist, always a rapist, like that, man. Like
There's no fixing that.
No. Over the next 15 days, Stephen and Ricky will go back and forth with police making demands. At one point, Ricky screamed at the negotiator to bring him cheesesteaks, Cokes, cigarettes, and meatball subs. He had a shotgun to Jason's head demanding these things.
Oh.
The men stayed out of sight of the windows in fear of sniper. Coy sexually assaulted Lois throughout the 15 days.
Jesus Christ.
Ricky denied this happened, but he was charged with sexual assault after he took off Lois's pants to give them to Coy to wear, and when he did this, her underwear came down as well. And this is when he touched her and made disgusting comments.
So because her underwear fell down, you had to touch her?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, women are not dolls for you to do whatever you want with.
And that'll get me angry. You'll get me angry because she's a handcuffed woman in a standoff surrounded by these men. I couldn't imagine. Poor thing.
Oh my god, that would be horrifying.
That would be. At one point, Ricky told the negotiators in a whisper that Stephen was by the window to take him out, but police could not tell if it was actually him to take the shot. They were concerned it would have been like Jason, the other
Yeah.
officer, or something.
Yeah. You don't know if someone's telling the truth or not.
Yeah. He also threatened to cut off Lois' fingers.
God.
They finally.
Poor woman.
I know. Like,
I hope she quit after this.
oh, she's a badass. She stands trial.
Oh, good for her.
They finally surrendered after being promised that they would be transferred to different out-of-state prisons. They enjoyed their last meal with some beers before leaving the tower. The trial for these two began 1 year later. Coy simply pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 7 life sentences on top of the 185 years he had already been serving.
185.
Yeah. He was transferred to a prison in Maine. Ricky decided to defend himself, but he didn't stand a chance against the prosecutor. He was dressed in nice clothes, but was strapped to the chair. He would take the stand and while waiting, take the microphone and pretend to be a DJ. He even jokes he would play Freebird by Leonard Skinner. This is all.
So this is all a joke and a party to him.
This is him in the courtroom. He's up on trial on the stand, sitting there, and he's check to the microphone like this is a joke.
So he has no remorse for what he has done.
No. Also, when he was asked about the education level by Judge Warren Gavel, he replied, quote, "Doc, documents will tell you I have a GED. Others will tell you I have a master's degree in being a dumbass," end quote.
You sure do.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
Yep. Yes, we can. So Jason decided to not take the stand under Ricky's questioning, but Lois, little badass, never shied away from Ricky questioning her. She confidently revealed every disgusting moment with him in the tower. By the end, he was charged with sexual assault, every attempted murder charge towards the group of officers that he had shot at, and many, many other charges. In total, he got 16 life sentences.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yep. He was sent to a prison in Ohio, then transferred to New Mexico, and is finally in Tucson in 2016 in a sex offender unit.
Good.
He expressed he wished he could be in prison closer to his mother in Michigan so she could visit. And so I want to introduce a little bit more about Ricky and how we kind of got here, right? How did we get to this prison and how far he will take his lawlessness behind bars after his 16 life sentences. So back in 1986, Ricky was arrested for aggravated assault and armed robbery. He then spent 10 years in prison before he was released on house arrest. He was staying with his family in Tucson at the time. He came back into the outside world as a very angry person, even claiming that he had a list of people he was angry at in his head that he wanted revenge on. He was only out of prison for 4 months when he decided to go to an adult store and purchase an adult video. While checking out, the clerk had asked him for a phone number, but Ricky refused to give him the only phone number that he had because it was the phone number to the house of the family that he was staying with. I'm not sure exactly what was said, but words were exchanged. But Ricky left that night. He was angry, though. Angry enough to drive back to the store the next night with a gun. He held up the store, fled the scene in a car where police followed him. A high-speed chase happened that ended in a crash. Ricky said he suddenly woke up in the hospital. Above his head was the TV that was showing the evening news. The image of himself flashed on the screen because he was the headline for the evening. This is when he said he realized he was going back to prison.
So this all stemmed from someone asking him for his phone number.
Yes.
This man's unstable.
Yes. Yes. And that gives you a little idea who Ricky was, and he stayed
He's
low
got a short
key.
fuse.
Yeah, he stayed low key until 2024 when he learns he was getting a new cellmate. Okay, so he got sentenced to prison. He's in there and he's just chilling, right? Low key.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's getting a new cellmate. The rest of the story is told secondhand and is not confirmed per the article that I got this information from. But a prison advocate, Donna Harmon, provided some of this retelling. Ricky really didn't want a cellmate, and when he learned it would be 81-year-old Joseph DeSisto, he was convicted of multiple holy moly, guacamole. Let me start that over, okay? Ricky really didn't want a cellmate, and when he learned it would be 81-year-old Joseph DeSisto, who was convicted of multiple child sex abuse charges and other sexual conduct charges with minors.
God, 81.
Mm-hmm. So when Joseph tried to get in, Ricky literally blocked the door so Joseph could not come into the cell. But there was nothing that he could do. Like, Joseph's got to come into the cell. It's your cellmate. On November 5th, 2024, Joseph was found dead in his cell.
Oh.
Ricky, in his interview, while retelling...
Well, I'm going to say he didn't deserve it.
I mean, yeah. I don't know what that's like called, but like
prison justice.
Yeah, like yes. So Ricky, in an interview while retelling, made sure to point out that it was election day when he murdered him. He also willingly retold his story, stating, quote, "I choked him with an arm bar and then with my hands," end quote. He even recalled how much sweat he left all over Joseph with the effort it took to strangle him to death.
Jeez.
However, the medical examiner did not find any signs of strangulation, including the broken hyoid bone. He only had broken ribs that are equivalent to what CPR does. The medical examiner determined his death inconclusive. The only thing Ricky got was 30 days of solitary.
Interesting.
Ricky told Herman he just wanted to make sure Joseph's family knew what really happened to him. Herman asked him why he did what he did, if he was so guilty about it. He said, "Just wanted to be alone." He got his wish until April 4th, when Saul Alvarez became his new cellmate. Saul was in for kidnapping, raping, and murdering a 15-year-old girl.
Jesus Christ.
In 1998. Ricky strangled and stabbed Saul in his sleep. He then arranged...
I just need to put this man alone.
I did.
He's going to keep killing people.
I know.
Give him his own room, for God's sake.
For God's sake. So
some of these people don't deserve their death, but you know. Still.
I mean,
he's not killing them for what they did, though. He's killing them just because he doesn't want a roommate.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not justifying what, but he does say later, like, he doesn't like rapists. But
oh, okay. Well, maybe that did contribute then.
Yeah. So Ricky strangled and stabbed Saul in his sleep, and he arranged his body on the bed to look like he was sleeping. That morning, Ricky packed up a rock he had smuggled in from the prison yard back in December. He put it in a fishnet laundry bag and headed out to the yard. In the prison yard, there is a fenced-in area that leads to the mess hall. At the time in the morning, the inmates are lining up for breakfast in this enclosed area they called the cage. Ricky went directly to this area and began swinging that rock in the fishnets. Thorne Harnage and Donald Leshley were both killed by Ricky. They were both
Dang.
in prison for sexual charges with minors. A third prisoner... Right. Yeah, bye, Felicia. A third prisoner tried to stop him, but Ricky began stabbing him until officers detained Ricky. The third inmate survived. Ricky was disappointed in the number of guys he killed, stating, quote, "If I had waited until they were all locked in the cage, I would have killed 10 or 12. I wanted to kill them all," end quote.
So why is he doing this? He just wants to kill rapists, or?
My next sentence was, Ricky really wanted to feel like he was doing his duty to society by taking out child molesters.
Oh, okay. I'll let it slide, bud.
Quote, "The taxpayers no longer have to pay for them. I'm paying my debt to society."
You know what? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's what I got on Ricky. Okay. That's the story of Ricky. Just out there serving
Yeah, he's a
justice.
bad guy, but he's got a little good in him.
Yeah, the child molesters thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's gonna remain in prison and we gotta keep him alive, I guess he can keep taking the other ones out, I guess.
Yeah, like why? Yeah, if you're gonna be in prison, why not take out the worst of the worst?
Yeah. But this all stemmed, from little him in a porn shop to prison breaks attempts to now just vigilante in prison child molesting justice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we came full circle.
Yeah, he's a hell of a guy. So yeah, that's Ricky.
That was a wild one.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. When I first looked into who Ricky was, and then it dug me down into the rabbit hole of the prison break, and I was like, okay, I got to cover this all.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little mix.
If you know any other cases like that, send them our way.
Yeah, like cool prison breaks. I'm sure there's plenty out there or anything, but something like that. That's cool. We should cover Alcatraz sometime.
I know. I was just thinking that.
Get out of my head. We'll put it on the list. Maybe that'll be a good one for this next spooky season.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, well, we're already excited for spooky season, so we got to start that list already, Kirsten.
Yeah. So. Hey, it's halfway to Halloween now. It's April 1st when we're filming this, so.
Oh. April Fool's Day.
April is 6 months from. Yeah. October.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm excited for fall, but that's just me. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed all of these. Make like a shadow and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at
Lurking in the Shadows podcast.
We're done with TikTok. So if you have
TikTok.
Fuck you, TikTok. If you have questions, concerns, or case suggestions, shoot us a Gmail at
Lurking in the Shadows podcast at gmail.com, and keep lurking around for our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.